Storms have erupted like crazy this afternoon across the Central Plains. You can really see it blow up here on the infrared across West Kansas, also into Oklahoma, and then north of that into Nebraska. Some really cold cloud tops too, just indicating the strength of these storms as they really continue to billow here. Also across Texas, a really strong cluster of storms here. Everything pushing off to the north and east as this dry air, this dry line, if you will, punches in. And then along your warm front, you've got showers and storms. Some of those have been strong too across parts of Missouri. There are severe thunderstorm watches out into parts of Arkansas, but the big threat right now, the big risk are these tornado watches now from Nebraska, northeast Colorado, dropping all the way down into Texas. It does include a good chunk of Oklahoma up into Kansas. Out ahead of this, there's also a severe thunderstorm watch for the rest of Kansas and other parts of Nebraska. These will be in effect through the evening at various times, so head to weather.gov. And again, this is all part of this broad severe weather outbreak that we're seeing today. The thing is, this is moving east. We're not done. This is just the warm-up round, if you will, as I think we're going to see more storms form, not just overnight, but tomorrow and then into Tuesday as we keep things rolling. Let's continue to look at what's going on with this tornado risk heading into tomorrow. Still, we're looking at a 3 out of 5. Does this go up to a 4? Does it go up to an enhanced risk tomorrow? I don't know, but at this point, we're saying no. Storm Prediction Center still highlighting this area. A pretty decent chance, though, of seeing some tornadoes. A significant risk, in fact. It's still a hatched area. That's telling you that this area where these lines are crisscrossed like this hatched area, that's definitely something you want to pay attention to. So decent risk here from the Red River Valley, right along the Texas-Oklahoma border, north into central and east Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, also east and central Kansas into parts of Missouri. As we head through the afternoon and evening, some of these could get really strong. It does include Kansas City. And then further to the north, that risk isn't zero as you get up into Iowa. Just a little bit lower of a risk, but still, tornadoes possible, damaging winds, and some hail. And we'll look at the future radar in just a second. And now, beyond this, day 3 still looking pretty impressive this evening during the update. It's Sunday evening if you're catching the live video. I don't know when you're watching this, but that's when this video is being made. Let's take a look at the future radar. This is telling the story. I think it's doing a pretty good job showing these storms exploding through the evening hours that we've seen on the satellite here. And then if we go back to the models, there they are. And this will continue through the evening hours. They'll pulse up. They're going to create a lot of heavy rain. Some tornadoes certainly possible through the evening hours and even into the overnight. This squall line into parts of Nebraska is interesting to watch. It could really produce some damaging winds, even some embedded tornadoes with that as well. And then as we head into the early morning hours of Monday, things calm down some, but we're priming things now further to the east as we're watching our low spin here. We've got a lot of wind shear around this low. Winds coming in at the surface at a bit of a different level angle than the winds aloft as your jet streak swings through. So with colder conditions aloft, we start to move that cold air into parts of first Kansas, Oklahoma, and the storms will pop heading into the afternoon and evening hours here into eastern Nebraska, Kansas, and then further east into Missouri. You got to wonder about supercells forming here, so that tornado risk will be on the table again Monday. As we move into the overnight hours, we're not done. In fact, we may be dealing with a nocturnal tornado threat and a nocturnal severe threat while you sleep. So have a way to get warnings on your weather radio. Have some way to wake you up in case any warnings do get issued. And then as we head through the overnight, these really start to become more linear in fashion. The severe risk does go down some, but some of these could hold on to some strength across Arkansas with gusty winds, some hail. I don't think you would rule out an isolated tornado, but clearly that risk goes down some. Now we get really interesting heading into Tuesday. We're starting to get into that time frame where the NAM can pick up on some of that, well, at least some of the convection that we'll start to see heading into Tuesday afternoon. And I think you watch here from Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, south. That includes southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and then down into Tennessee and as far south as Mississippi and Alabama. Now, the NAM 3K model is really trying to ease up just a little bit here across the deep south. Not really as strong as what it was maybe going to look. I don't know. I'm not writing this off just yet. Either way, it still looks like an area to watch, and the Storm Prediction Center clearly saying, look, this area is still an area of concern. So keep an eye to the sky as we head through the day, Tuesday afternoon and into Tuesday night. I'm going to back this up just a little bit. You can see the formation of these also into parts of Tennessee. We could be dealing with more severe weather here. I think damaging winds and tornadoes certainly possible with this. And notice how you've got everything moving pretty quickly, almost like a squall line. the front moving pretty fast this time around. Further to the north, let's look into Indiana, Illinois, into Kentucky too. We're going to have this round of storms moving through heading into the afternoon on Monday. Some of these could pulse up too into parts of Kentucky because, I know we looked at the day 2 risk here, but look, some of these further to the east could also get strong and even into parts of Tennessee. This is for Monday, way ahead of what's back to the west. So some of these storms could be strong to severe. Going to drop this down into also into the southern Appalachians. Once these move into Tennessee, as we get into the evening hours, they may try to weaken, especially as they approach the mountains, but some of them could hold some strength here into East Tennessee. And then into the overnight, things get a little bit more common. Now we're looking back to the west. Let's go back north up into the Illinois, Missouri area. This is where things get interesting as we head now into Tuesday. Lifting north as this low swings out of Missouri toward the Great Lakes. Strong storms possible across Illinois, Indiana, south into Kentucky and Tennessee. And then once we now get into the evening hours, these could be pushing through places like Paducah, southern parts of Indiana, and then toward Louisville, and then further to the east, even toward Cincinnati once we get toward the 10 p.m. hour as this all shifts off to the east. And some of the storms could hold some strength as they get toward the midnight hour into parts of West Virginia, maybe even East Tennessee and far southwest Virginia. Clearly, though, much weaker than they were just to the west. Here's a much wider look at the east. We've looked at the central U.S., fairly dry here into the northeast, other than these showers that will still be around heading into Monday. Cool across the northeast as well. There comes some really heavy rain, too, with those storms. We've talked about the severe aspect, but there's going to be a lot of rain, and these are going to be really efficient rain producers, too. And then this continues to push off to the north and east as this low moves toward the Great Lakes. Maybe, check that out, some snow trying to mix in on the northwest side of this here up across parts of Minnesota, also into South Dakota. We're going to be seeing that as we head into Tuesday. We're going to really push this out ahead in time. This low moves east, so does the rain, and we get cool around the Great Lakes. In fact, temperatures here are going to be way below average. Snow trying to mix in on the northwest side of this low across the northeast. The pattern here, guys, cold. This is some pretty chilly air, and with this type of setup, it's definitely not going to feel very summer-like here in the northeast. But however, across the west, we're getting a bit of a ridge building here in the upper level. So with this pumping north, expect above average temperatures across the west, colder than average across the east. We'll continue to push this out in time. Showery, cloudy is the name of the game, I think, as we head toward the end of the weekend to the Memorial Day weekend. Temperatures here into the northeast are going to be quite chilly, too. I mean, we're at a rain-snow mix here into Maine heading into the Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, this is not unheard of, guys. I mean, I've just full transparency. I was born in the last week of May, and it snowed on my birthday. I'm not going to tell you when I was born, but it was a long time ago now, longer than it was last year. But either way, it's not uncommon, and it wasn't in Maine. I wasn't born in Maine either. I was born in the Mid-South. So, yeah, you think about it snowing pretty far to the south. Is it possible? Yeah, it can happen. Is it unusual? Absolutely. Maybe it was it was an omen. A weatherman born on it snows the day he's born in the south in May. Okay, so anyway, the point is it's going to be cold in the northeast. Rain showers moving back into the plain states. And then, I don't know. This isn't really a severe weather look just because of all this cold weather. So maybe a bit of a break. So if there's some silver lining to this, it is that it's going to be a little bit less severe. And then I think that changes, though, once we get toward the 26th, 27th, 28th. We say goodbye to this cold air around the Great Lakes. At least we try to. But some of the models, including the GFS, tries to keep it around. Summer is just trying, I don't know, it may have a hard start going here in the Great Lakes. But eventually, we will warm up. All right, that's all I got, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday night. I will see you on Monday.